Hello, welcome back to Fred in the Shed. We're up in the Radio Shack. This company, and I'm sure they do this on purpose. I'm sure they send in these companies that I can't pronounce. You know I struggle with pronunciation. XHDATA, XHDATA. We'll call it XHDATA. They contacted me just after I did that big ratty shortwave radio, the 919, expensive one, and they said, Fred, we make shortwave radios. We'd love you to review a couple of our radios. I said, yeah, why not? And they said, well, we do survival radios, decent high-end shortwave radios. What do you want? And I said, well, tell you what, what's the cheapest shortwave radio that you do? And they said, well, we do a D-328 for £10. And I said, yeah, we'll send that in. Because if you start at the bottom with a new company, and if their cheapest product is half decent, if it's any good, then the likelihood, the more money you spend, it's going to get better. So that's what they did. They sent in this radio, £10 for a 12-band shortwave radio, and that's what we're going to be looking at in this video. So stick with it. Let's crack on. So here it is, just looking at the box. Yeah, like most of these radios, it does have the obligatory MP3 player and reads from a TF card or a USB stick. A lot of radios. I'm not really too interested in that, to be honest with you. I'm more interested in the shortwave radio performance. Firstly, instructions. It's a very basic radio. I don't think I'm going to need instructions on this. These are this is very, very small print. And yeah, I'll need my reading glasses. I can't even read it. But it's all there. By looking at it, it's a couple of pages. You're not really going to need any instructions on this. USB-C charging lead. It does have a built-in rechargeable battery, and that's good on a real budget radio. It saves you buying batteries. We'll have a look when we get it open, see if it's replaceable. Hopefully it is. Wrist lanyard, because this is your traditional sort of transistor radio size, what we grew up with in the late 70s, if you're as old as me and you can remember that. Okay, let's have a look at this radio for the first time. I've not even opened it. And here we go. Well, do you know what? Honestly, bearing in mind this is a £10 radio, that is not half bad. It has a slightly metallic, let me zoom in a little bit so you can see a bit better. It has a slightly metallic black finish. It's very glossy, it's going to pick up fingerprints, but it doesn't look budget. I mean, if you said to me that's £10, I would have thought that you were joking. Top of the radio, TF card, and then we have an array of buttons here. Mainly, this is going to be, well, it's purely for the MP3 player, if you're going to use that on this radio. And then we have a function switch, MP3 off and radio. DC 5-volt input there for the charging, so it has got a built-in chargeable battery. I assume that's lithium ion. And then we've got the radio display itself, completely analog, although this will be a DSP radio. The days of, unfortunately, the analog radio have gone. This will be a digital signal processing radio. I'm afraid they all are, but it has got the feel, hasn't it? And you've got the tuning control on the side here, and a simple volume control. Doesn't actually turn the radio on. I suppose that's on the top switch. But look at that, look. When I'm tuning this, that feels just like the radios we used to have when we were kids. And that's actually quite smooth, to be fair. Bearing in mind that's not an analog variable capacitor, that's a DSP, that is really nice and smooth. Again, not something you'd expect on a £10 radio. Top of the display there, looks like we've got dual FM band. We've got the standard 87 to 108, and then we have the non-standard 64 to 108, so I imagine the spacing will be different. We won't get really any radio stations at the bottom end of that in the UK. We're purely 87. Then we have a selection control here. So we've got the 2 FM bands, then we have medium wave. I imagine it's got a built-in ferrite rod antenna. And then we have 9. Yeah, we have 9 shortwave bands. And these are all broken down nice and analog there and the wavelengths all on the bottom there in megahertz. I mean, how simple is that? Headphone socket. Yeah, it should be stereo. I'll have to test that when we get the radio going, and whether that's stereo and FM, I'm not 100% sure. Back of the radio, got a little stand. So if you want to stand it up, that's pretty decent. Gives you the spec of the radio. So yeah, your FM, medium wave's pretty standard, 520 to 1730. So shortwave, 4750 to 22 megahertz. So that's pure broadcast band, only AM of course. And yeah, 5 volts. Let's have a quick look at the battery. Oh, it's a BL5C. That's pretty good. So that is a standard Nokia battery. I mean, these are dead cheap on eBay. You can get them for about £2.50, £3. If you ever needed to change it, that would be so easy. And it's really nice that it's rechargeable. Because I mean, at this price, at £10, if you've got to spend another £3 on batteries, it makes a difference, doesn't it? Nothing on this side of the radio, of course, just blank. And then there's the antenna. Let's have a look at that. Well, that feels quite nice. Let me zoom out a little bit. And there we go. Do you know, that's half decent. Some of the radios that I've been testing recently, and I won't mention manufacturing names, but they could learn a lesson from this. That is a decent antenna, and the last section is very nice and firm. Lengthwise, oh, let's have a look. Stretch it all the way along. I'm guessing that's about 50 centimetres. There's no antenna input for shortwave, so you would have to use a clip-on wire or just wrap a piece of wire onto that. But as we've discovered before, sometimes, especially with DSP radios, they're quite amplified when they use the antenna, and you can easily overload some of the cheaper radios. So it might just be best to stick with the standard antenna. But yeah, I mean, straight out of the box, I've got to say 10 out of 10 for presentation. It doesn't look like a very, very cheap radio. Let's switch it on and see what it sounds like. So to switch the radio on, we just crack that across the top. That's come alive automatically. Let's put it on to FM1 and extend the antenna. I'm not expecting the performance to be massive. Short antenna, of course. Let's just go straight from the band. So we're starting off on 87, and let's turn up the volume. Do you know, it's so nice to tune a radio the old-fashioned way without a digital tune. Well, that's quite loud, isn't it?
Claire in Bournemouth, hi.
Hi, Scott.
Happy birthday to you. I hear it's on.
Well, it's quite loud. I'll give it that.
It absolutely is, yeah.
It's very nice to tune.
Learning the recorder as a child. He says that he'd just pick it up and play for hours, having the urge to do it, like, he says, biting into an apple. Also, Bailey's...
That doesn't sound bad, actually. I mean, it sounds a bit like an old transistor radio, but it's not tinny
Nico Frank
on FM.
relishing the challenge of playing all 7 symphonies in Paris earlier on this year. But next we're off to Sweden in the 1850s.
It does slightly distort when you completely open up the volume, but you'd expect that.
Graduate as an organist. And
That's pretty decent.
I'm not Judge Render. I'm the person being Judge Rendered by Judge Render.
What?
What I mean is, I just...
It's very sensitive on the tuning. You have to be very, very precise.
On a tandem. All right, mate. With a messer on the back.
That's not bad, though. That's pretty good, actually. That's better than I thought it would be. Right, let's go on to medium wave. I'm going to put down the antenna because I might have to turn the radio around. I'm going to switch the brighter LED lights off in the shack because that will interfere on AM. So sorry, it's gone a little bit dark on you. Let's have a little flick. Let's have a little flick around.
So it's something for Gareth. Overall, just Steve Armstrong, exactly the same, you know, as a professional sportsman. Win the game, keep a clean sheet.
It's not bad.
Pole position.
It did, or did Lunin get the touch? It's hit the joint of the post and bar. Lunin initially crossed. He gets him 4 or 5 yards off the line.
There's not a lot on medium wave these days. It's a shame.
433.
Buy, it's your business. Giving you purchase protection is ours. Search Barclaycard Protection to find out more about how we protect your
Sounds pretty decent though.
Barclaycard. Make money work for you. 28.9%.
I'm moving it around. It doesn't seem to fade in and out. It seems to have locked onto the station.
Albert Einstein here. Chico and I are out for walkies in the park. My watch tells me we've walked exactly 3,004 steps. Our personal best.
I tell you what.
Steps aren't the only thing.
I tell you what, right? That puts quite a few more expensive radios to shame for medium wave performance.
Energy.
That's very, very clear. No interference at all. I'm impressed. Right, 9 bands on shortwave. Need to take it outside and get away from an interference. And we have a little flick round the shortwave band and see if it can pick anything up.
Surprised and the rating there is good. There are railways and then the important stuff is produced in Shenzhen, in Fulton and Shanghai and sent by way from Xinjiang to Europe. But that's not the reality. Is that these things are not.
叠加218活动为消费者带来最大力度的优惠。
符合活动要求的用户参与计划金可以享受到政府加低温双重补贴，享受不低于10%的递减补贴。而另外这次流通活动是在下。مستمع راديو تماسك اهلا ومرحبا بكم في رياض
يوكرين عندك سايوباتي كيف الراشا ولين مري نجا نيجيس بجيران برزدانتين بيتي ولان برزدل المسكين بيروت عمره والجاي نجا سويسرلاند تيجي فمرتي اسوا تاج سنين برزدانتي الراشا
bunları yapmıyorsan what is ne davet ediyor? İsa sizi bir karar almaya davet ediyor. Kutsal ruh sizi bir karar almaya davet ediyor. Şimdi sen de İsa'ya söylemek ister misin? Tanrılar dini liderler var. Mesele birkaç gün meselesi değil aslında. Mesele bizim Eurasia can be connected with infrastructure. So we already, since that time, instituted an economist called Lyndon LaRouche, American actually, promoting the connection between countries, regions, and continents through what they call development corridors. The development corridor, all these lines on the map we use, not others, they represent a corridor, a belt, which is 100 to 150 kilometers wide. In the center of it, if you have rivers,
ta inda za mu samu mu'amala da irin foundation da wasu
İlla o gün çok güçlü olan Yahudlar karşısında nasip ettiği zaferi şu anda da oradaki din kardeşlerimize, mağdurlara nasip eylesin diyor.
Evet, çok teşekkür ederiz. Marmara Üniversitesi İlahiyat Fakültesi öğretim görevlisi Sayın Doktor Aslı'dan Sanathan'la iyi bayramlar.
Reklamlar.
Well, there we go. I was quite surprised how well that performed on shortwave. It picked up loads of stations just from its built-in antenna. I could have even tried a long wire. It didn't seem to overload. I didn't get any medium wave interference, which is a big problem because I live so close to a medium wave high power transmitting station, and there was no bleed over at all on any of the bands that I tested. So you can't ask any more than that, can you, for £10? Right, the last thing I suppose I ought to test is the MP3 player. Oh, one more thing. I can confirm, having listened on headphones, that the FM is stereo, as is the MP3 player. So there is a stereo jack on the side. Right, MP3 player then, here we go. So we switch that to that. And that's playing straight away. That's got some resonance, actually. Yeah, quite impressed by that. And what is also impressive is there is a little tiny bit of bass there. You can feel the resonance through the chassis of the radio, and when you turn it up, it doesn't actually distort. And the treble is quite sweet as well. And I know I keep harping on about the price, but I don't think you could expect anything better for the price. And if the rest of their radios in their range are on the same philosophy of keeping the price down but not necessarily compromising on the quality, I think I look forward to testing a few more XHDATA radios. So this one definitely gets the Fred in the Shed thumbs up. I just can't find any fault with it at this price level. There's no point in faulting it at all. If you're interested in this radio, I will always, as always, I will leave a link in the description to take you across to the website. I don't think I can get you anything off. I think it's as cheap as it comes, but maybe if they send any more radios in, we'll look as the price goes up. Anyway, I hope this video has been useful to you. There's the thumbs up from Freddie in his Shed. As always, I do appreciate your view time. I do not take you for granted one step of the way. If you get a second before you go, if you just hit me a thumbs up down below, then at least I know you've watched the video and you've enjoyed it and I'm doing the right thing and I can do more. But as always, please, please, please look after each other. All of you stay safe. And of course, I will catch you on the next video. Cheers for tuning in.